Oh, sure. Yeah. Ibu Ari
Yes.
and committee already got the material from Ibu Gayatri.
Okay.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just, I'm really sorry. I
Baik,
was actually
Alhamdulillah.
expecting it to be a talk show. So I actually had not prepared the presentation. So I just had put something together today morning. Okay.
Ya, ya. Mas Anang, berarti
Yeah.
nanti bisa dibantu untuk menampilkan tayangan beliau?
Apa Bu? PPT
Yang
Bu?
tayangan, apa PT, di grup ya?
Nggih.
Baik, kita mulai Bu Wati.
Nggih, Bu Eva. Kita
Ya. Ibu Bapak, terhormat, mohon izin acara akan segera kita mulai. Dan mengaktifkan kamera. Terima kasih. Ibu Bapak, kemitraan kampus dan industri memiliki peran yang sangat penting dalam mempersiapkan lulusan yang siap menghadapi dan siap bersaing. Dengan bangga, Adopsi mempersembahkan kuliah Pakar, peluang kerjasama dengan perusahaan global berbasis digital bersama PT ICT Health Indonesia India. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Sehat
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang terhormat narasumber istimewa kita, Bapak Gautam Kamat, Presiden Direktur PT ICT Health Indonesia. Selamat siang Pak Gautam.
Selamat siang Ibu, selamat siang semuanya. Perkenalkan
Terima
saya
kasih.
nama
Yang
Gautam
kami
Kamat.
hormati Ketua Umum Adopsi, Ibu Dr. Wati Istanti MPD, serta segenap pengurus pusat, Ibu Bapak Ketua Cabang Provinsi, serta seluruh anggota adopsi yang berbahagia, Ibu Bapak pimpinan program studi dan para mahasiswa, hadirin yang berbahagia, Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin, puji syukur, marilah kita panjatkan kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan yang Maha Baik, atas segala limpahan rahmat dan karunia-Nya pada hari yang indah ini, Kamis 27 Juni 2024, kita semua dapat bersama-sama bersilaturahmi akademik di ruang virtual. Dalam keadaan sehat dan berbahagia, dalam kegiatan kuliah pakar, peluang kerjasama dengan perusahaan global berbasis digital bersama PT ICT Health Indonesia India. Hadirin yang berbahagia, mengawali kegiatan ini, marilah kita bersama-sama membaca basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Berikutnya, menyimak bersama lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya dan Mars Adopsi. Hadirin dimohon duduk tegak.
Indonesia, kebangsaan
selalu di hati selamanya. Ibu Bapak, selanjutnya marilah kita simak bersama sambutan Ketua Umum Adopsi, Ibu Dr. Wati Istanti, MPD.
Terima kasih, Mbak Eva. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Kebajikan, Namaste. The Honorable of Speaker Kuliah Pakar, Bapak Gautam Kamat, Presiden Director of PT ICT Health Indonesia. Selamat siang, Pak Gautam.
Selamat siang Bu Wati, selamat siang semuanya. Namaste from India.
Ya, yang kami hormati Dewan Pertimbangan, Dewan Pakar, Pengurus Adopsi Pusat, para Ketua Cabang Provinsi, kolega, mahasiswa, dan seluruh keluarga besar adopsi dimanapun berada, dan barangkali yang saat ini mengikuti streaming di YouTube. Selamat siang dan salam sejahtera kita semua. Puji syukur kehadirat Allah, Tuhan pemilik segala ilmu yang memberikan rangkaian kata-katanya sehingga pada kesempatan yang baik ini, di siang yang insya Allah berkah, kita masih dipertemukan meskipun secara maya untuk menebarkan kebaikan dan bersilaturahmi akademik dalam acara yang bertajuk Kuliah Pakar, Peluang Kerjasama dengan Perusahaan Global Berbasis Digital, kolaborasi dengan perusahaan global PT ICT Health Indonesia. Bapak Ibu yang selalu semangat Yada Tara, program Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka atau MBKM yang dicanangkan pemerintah untuk mewujudkan sumber daya manusia unggul menuju Indonesia di Indonesia Maju di tahun 2045 serta World Class University merupakan tantangan tersendiri bagi setiap institusi perguruan tinggi. Salah satunya adalah terimplementasinya capaian IKU 1-8, tetapi yang menjadi poin adalah di dalam IKU 6. Pencapaian indikator kinerja utama atau IKU merupakan cerminan dari dukungan setiap unit di perguruan tinggi, termasuk program studi sebagai unit kecil tetapi memberikan kontribusi yang luar biasa dan memenuhi target di dalam capaian IKU. Adapun indikator kinerja utama 6 atau IKU 6, program studi harus bekerja sama dengan mitra yang antara lain perusahaan multinasional, perusahaan nasional berstandar tinggi, perusahaan teknologi global, perusahaan rintisan atau startup company teknologi, organisasi nirlaba kelas dunia, institusi atau organisasi multilateral, perguruan tinggi yang masuk dalam daftar QS 200 berdasarkan bidang ilmu atau QS 200 by subject, perguruan tinggi, fakultas atau program studi dalam bidang yang relevan, instansi pemerintah, BUMN dan atau BUMD, rumah sakit, UMKM atau lembaga riset pemerintah, swasta nasional maupun internasional, dan lembaga kebudayaan berskala nasional atau bereputasi. Maka, kegiatan kuliah pakar ini membuka peluang kerjasama kepada perusahaan global dari salah satu capaian IKU 6 yang tadi sudah saya sebutkan dengan program studi, dengan fakultas ataupun institusi Bapak dan Ibu yang dengan disiapkannya dokumentasi IA, MOA ataupun MOU. Kami segenap keluarga besar adopsi mengucapkan terima kasih tak hingga kepada Bapak Gautam sudah berkenan untuk menjadi pembicara dalam kuliah pakar pada siang hari ini. Para Dewan Pertimbangan, Dewan Pakar, Pengurus Adopsi Pusat, Ketua Cabang Provinsi, keluarga besar adopsi, dan para hadirin yang telah berkenan bergabung dalam silaturahmi akademik ini. Kami mohon maaf apabila ada salah dalam berucap, kata yang barangkali dilayangkan, dan pemikiran retak yang kita sengaja ataupun tidak. Mudah-mudahan niat baik kita diijabahi oleh Tuhan, dimudahkan dan dilancarkan berkah untuk semua. Untuk selanjutnya, kuliah pakar akan menyajikan tajuk-tajuk yang tentunya dapat menambah wawasan dan pengalaman kita. Salah satunya adalah insya Allah kita akan menyiapkan kuliah pakar bersama pembicara dari Monash University di QS 100 untuk World Class University. Kami berharap semoga keluarga besar adopsi berkenan untuk selalu membersamai dalam kuliah pakar selanjutnya. Pada akhirnya kami mengucapkan selamat bersilaturahmi akademik dan menyimak dengan saksama kuliah pakar yang akan disampaikan oleh Bapak Gautam Kamat, Presiden Direktur PT ICT Health Indonesia. Sebagai penutup, saya akan membacakan sebuah pantun, menonton film India sambil makan nasi. Nasi dimakan dengan sambal tomat. Selamat mengikuti kuliah pakar adopsi, penuh semangat dan semoga bermanfaat. Dan kita akan pekikan, ya terima kasih, kita akan pekikan jargon untuk adopsi. Bapak Gautam, when I said adopsi, please you can say muda, ya, with your
Mudah.
hand here. Ya, muda is always too young.
Mudah.
And then creative, ya, like that, your hand, creative, ya, your
Ya.
finger. And then luar biasa, ya, luar
Luar
biasa.
biasa.
And then after that, tepuk tangan, applause. Yeah, with the smile, with smiling, because smile is make our too young than our age ya. Baik Bapak dan
Yes,
Ibu,
yes.
kita akan memekikan jargon adopsi supaya kita selalu muda, supaya kita selalu kreatif dan semoga kita selalu luar biasa sehingga kita biasa di luar. Baik, kita akan mulai, tetapi eh, saya ingin dibantu ini, Mbak. Siapa ya? Di sini ada Mbak Ida ya. Tadi Mbak Eva sudah, Mas Anang sudah, Mbak Ida. Tolong dibantu untuk mengekikkan adopsi, untuk jargon adopsi. Silakan.
Baik, terima kasih Bu Wati. Mari Bapak Ibu, di siang hari ini kita pekikkan semangat adopsi. Kalau saya bilang adopsi, Bapak Ibu langsung sambut dengan muda, kreatif, luar biasa ya. Oke, baik. 1, 2, 3. Adopsi, muda, kreatif,
Kreatif,
luar
luar
biasa.
biasa.
Tepuk tangan untuk kita semua. Terima kasih Bu Wati.
Terima kasih Mbak Ida, terima kasih Bapak dan Ibu. Selamat mengikuti kuliah pakar yang nanti akan dibersamai oleh Ibu Ari Kusmiatun, yang insya Allah nanti akan sangat luar biasa memandu jalannya diskusi. Sekali lagi terima kasih kepada seluruh panitia, Mbak Eva, Mas Anang, Mbak Ida, Mbak Santi, Mbak Ari, Mbak Dwi, semua BPH, pengurus harian di Adopsi Pusat. Mudah-mudahan nanti bermanfaat berkah untuk kita semua. Saya akhiri, billahi taufik walhidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Ibu Wati. Selanjutnya penyerahan sertifikat kepada narasumber Bapak Gautam Kamat, Presiden Direktur PT ICT Health oleh Ibu Ketua Umum.
Baik.
Oh,
Terima kasih Mbak Eva.
terima
Ya.
kasih ya. Terima
Ya, Bapak
kasih.
Gautam, appreciate
Ya.
for you. Ya, terima kasih
Thank you,
sudah
thank you.
akan memberikan materi. Maka mohon berkenan menerima sertifikat apresiasi dari adopsi Bapak Gautam Kamat sebagai narasumber. Mohon izin untuk kami tangkap layar ya. Mas Anang bisa ditayangkan.
Jadi sudah saya tangkap layar, Bu.
Oh, siap. Oke, terima kasih. Kami
Baik,
kembalikan
terima
kepada Mbak
kasih.
Eva.
Ibu Bapak hadirin yang berbahagia, selanjutnya untuk melengkapi pembukaan ini, mohon berkenan Ibu Bapak dapat mengaktifkan kamera dan berpose dengan pose semangat adopsi. Mohon
The
dapat
simbol
berkenan
adopsi,
mengaktifkan
apa
kamera
ya?
dan kita akan berpose dengan simbol adopsi. Silahkan Ibu Bapak. Baik, kita
Ya,
tunggu.
saya yang ambilkan ya, Bu Eva.
Baik, terima kasih Bu Ida. Baik,
Baik,
Ibu
saya
Bapak,
hitung.
mohon berkenan mengaktifkan kamera dan kita akan ambil foto bersama dengan simbol adopsi. Baik, ada 2 layar. Saya akan hitung untuk layar pertama. Mohon berkenan Bu Ida, mohon Ibu Bapak, silahkan. Terima kasih Pak Arief, Bu Made, Bu Ade, dan Ibu Bapak lainnya. Baik, 1, 2, 3 untuk layar pertama.
Oke, siap, sudah.
Baik,
Baik, berikutnya.
layar berikutnya, layar kedua. Mohon Ibu Bapak dapat mengaktifkan kamera, silahkan, dan kita akan berpose dengan simbol adopsi. 1, 2, 3. Alhamdulillah. Terima kasih Ibu Bapak. Demikian serangkaian acara pembukaan kuliah pakar peluang kerjasama dengan perusahaan global berbasis digital bersama PT ICT Health Indonesia India yang membutuhkan IA, MOU, MOA dengan PT ICT Health Indonesia dapat menghubungi kami. Selanjutnya, mari kita ikuti acara inti kuliah pakar bersama narasumber istimewa kita, Bapak Kamat, Presiden Direktur PT ICT Health Indonesia. Kuliah ini akan dimoderatori oleh Ibu Dr. Ari Kusmiaton, MPD, Divisi Kerjasama dan Wirausaha dari Universitas Yogyakarta. Waktu sepenuhnya kami serahkan kepada Mbak Ari.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih, Bu Eva. Apakah suara saya tertangkap baik, Ibu?
Sangat jelas, Mbak Ari.
Baik, terima
Iya,
kasih
jelas.
banyak.
Sangat jelas.
Baik, terima kasih Bapak Ibu semuanya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera, namo buddhaya, salam kebajikan, Om Swastiastu. Bapak Ibu sekalian, di siang hari yang luar biasa ini satu kebahagiaan bisa membersamai Bapak Ibu semuanya, bertemu di tempat ini dengan wajah yang luar biasa seperti slogan adopsi kita. Bapak Ibu, wajah-wajahnya nampak muda semua, kreatif semua, dan luar biasa. Ya, and Pak Gautam, please, I would like to maybe in bilingual, ya. Sometimes I will use bahasa Indonesia, but sometimes I will change in English, right? So, yeah, it's mix, ya, because Pak Gautam is already learned bahasa Indonesia. So, you more practice, ya, Pak, ya.
Iya, betul, betul.
Kayaknya jiwa guru BIPA harus begini ya. Kalau lihat harus banyak praktek-praktek begitu. Baik, Ibu.
Hari-hari ini sesi praktik, saya.
That's it. Yeah. So today is your practice, Pak. This is your exam ya. To speak up in bahasa Indonesia.
Saya nervous ya.
Oke. Baik. Ya, Bapak Ibu sekalian, hari ini luar biasa. Terima kasih banyak untuk bergabung bersama kami dengan adopsi. Dan di hari ini kita ada satu pakar yang kita undang dan luar biasa karena seperti yang disampaikan Ibu Ketua Umum Adopsi bahwa adopsi memfasilitasi para anggotanya untuk bisa menjalin collaboration more and more gitu ya, lebih banyak kolaborasi, tidak hanya sesama dengan instansi-instansi di level kita, tetapi hari ini, siang hari ini kita bangunkan satu kolaborasi dengan usaha di bidang yang bermain dengan luar institusi pendidikan begitu, sehingga ini satu hal yang salah satu indikator capaian juga bahwa perguruan tinggi harus berkolaborasi dengan bidang-bidang yang berbeda, salah satunya adalah di perusahaan-perusahaan dan tidak tanggung-tanggung. This is for international company dan ini menjadi salah satu peluang yang sesuai dengan judul seminar kita hari ini, peluang kerjasama dengan perusahaan global berbasis digital untuk membangun satu kolaborasi bersama. Dan Bapak Ibu sekalian, di sini izinkan saya untuk memoderatori kegiatan siang hari ini. So, before we start for the seminar, Pak Gautam, let me to introduce you a little bit, ya, because I think you will share more about yourself, but I would like to share about you for the participants for today. Oke, Bapak Ibu sekalian, ya, Bapak Gautam Kamat adalah seorang presiden direktur. So we call it that he is the CEO of PT ICT Health Indonesia. Ini satu perusahaan yang menjadi the leader dari healthcare technology solution. Dan nanti kalau Bapak Ibu lihat dari profil beliau, lebih dari 18 tahun pengalaman beliau bergelut dalam bidang ini. Jadi beliau adalah leading projects, beliau juga nanti pengembang dari berbagai strategies or developing strategies, expansion and also establish new markets. Jadi hari ini kita komplit sekali with Pak Gautam. We will share, you will share about all what your experience ya about the technology, and also Bapak Ibu mungkin sudah tahu Rumah Sakit Hermina ya. Ada ya di Indonesia beberapa kota-kota begitu ada Rumah Sakit Hermina, dan perusahaan Pak Gautam adalah penyetok untuk alat-alat kesehatan di
Rumah Sakit Hermina. Jadi ini luar biasa, satu link yang sangat cantik kita bangun hari ini, dan I think it's relate ya Pak Gautam with relevant with lecturer on entrepreneurship, and then of course the multimedia digital market, and also languages, because we need more smooth communication with language ya. Jadi Bapak Ibu silakan nanti kita simak bersama, dan apa-apa yang bisa kita kolaborasikan ya dari prodi kita, dari institusi kita, atau kita pribadi dengan semacam perusahaan-perusahaan yang beliau bangun selama ini. So, Bapak Ibu sekalian, Pak Gautam, we will share for 2 sessions for seminar today. For the first, I would like to invite Pak Gautam Kamat to presentation your material, and after that we go to the session of the question and answer and also discussion. Begitu ya Pak Gautam, and so Bapak Ibu sekalian, so kita langsung saja, I will give opportunity for Pak Gautam to share about his experience. So Pak Gautam, the floor is yours. Yeah.
Thank you, Ibu Ari. So let me just share the presentation that I have prepared. Yeah, okay. It would be really nice if somebody does it for me. That's really good. Yeah, so today's topic that we are actually touch basing upon is how to enhance collaboration and the work opportunities with international digital companies. So the key things that we need to focus here is how language and culture of any country or of people of a country matters most in any new international digital companies. It's very important factor which many people might oversee, is what I have probably experienced with my few years here in Indonesia. Yeah. So before we get to it, it is very important. It's a very interesting story to everyone probably, and especially for me, how I actually landed up in Indonesia. So like Ibu Ari mentioned, I'm having about 18 years experience in this industry. And I've worked mostly in ERP and healthcare industry, been with the digital age right from the beginning. So the only industry experience I have is digital industry, whether it is ERP, whether it is mobile applications, whether it is healthcare tech, right? But it is mostly digital, right? And I actually graduated also with the engineering degree in computer science. So it was natural for me to join a digital company, which I did. My initial experience was as a software developer, right? Which was something which I was not too sure of, right? And maybe that didn't attract me so much. I always had the question on the industry part of it or the business side of it. So for starting from software developer, it probably gave me a good insight on how digital, the tech platforms work or how the technology works, right? And then I went on to become, functional consultant, right? Then from functional consultant to project manager. So naturally, I, climbed the management ladder, right? From the time I got the opportunity to become a functional consultant. So, being, project manager, slowly I went into, business development, started with pre-sales, then, jumped to sales. I got the opportunity to become general manager at a very young age of 14. With just 14 years of experience, I was promoted to become general manager in ICT Health. And that's where actually probably, my tryst with Indonesia began. So after I became, general manager, my key responsibility was to improve the, the market of my company that I have worked with for about, by about 8 years by that time, right? And also expand it, across different geographies. So that's when actually, I was actually concentrating in Philippines. I was traveling very often to Philippines, trying to, get some, opportunities there. But what happened is I never got opportunity in Philippines. Rather, I ended up having a client in Papua New Guinea. And as I was actually exploring Philippines market, and I got the opportunity to become part of this wonderful country called as Indonesia. That's how I got, Hermina. I was actually, aiming for Philippines, and I won Hermina as a project. We got, won Hermina as a project. And we look at Hermina Hospitals Group. it is not just one hospital or two hospital, it's an entire organization by itself, right? Having, when we started this engagement with Hermina was only 32 hospitals. And this was way back in 2018. And today they already are above 49 or 50 hospitals spread across Indonesia. So Indonesia, just like India, is a diverse and cultural, culturally very, culturally diverse country, right? With people of different ethnicities spread across so much, such a large geographical area, if you look at it, right? So just like India, even Indonesia is a very big market, right? So it was natural for ICT Health to consider starting a company in Indonesia, right? That's how we actually started PT ICT Health Indonesia. And since ICT Indonesia was my market, I got the opportunity to become the CEO of this company. So as we went further, right now, the importance, right now, why I told you about this is actually very important, because when we look at language or when we look at culture, right, of a new country that we are going in, it's very important to embrace that, and it is very important to learn it, right? I have tried to learn. I'm learning it as well, as I'm speaking. It is, but more the language and the culture of country, understanding it is very important. This is where my experience, this is what my experience has been here, is like, it's not just about learning the market, learning the industry, but it is also learning the language and learning the culture of the country. This is where an association or an organization like Adopsi comes into the picture, right? Where, an organization specific to this kind of competency can help companies like ICT Health or any other digital companies that want to establish their market in Indonesia, right? Learning Indonesians for all the foreigners or expats coming in, and learning the beautiful culture of Indonesia is very important, right? It helps to enhance the relation between the expats and the locals, and also it will be beneficial for the, country, as well as for the company that has actually begun the operations in this beautiful country, right? So mutual respect, of course, is very important, and understanding of mutual cultures is very important. Now, taking that as a backdrop, now when we look at, how an organization like Adopsi can positively impact, right, digital companies, in its establishment, or in its propagation, or in its market capturing in countries as vast as Indonesia, is what probably we should look at, and how, people who are pursuing this as a, career opportunity should probably look at. Buari, am I going in the right direction?
No, it's okay, Pak.
Yeah. Okay. So now, as we are talking, right, we need to understand, what and all steps that we need to take, so that, we can improve or enhance collaborations with international digital companies, and how to establish working opportunities here, right? So quintessential, like any other process or like any other, market strategies that any company, prepares. Similarly, probably Adobe also must look at, how to take this forward. I'm sure, you would have contemplated on this, and you would have probably have, worked on this as well, right? But as we are, going through this webinar, and the topic is related to this, so I would like to touch base on these points, right? Important is like, understanding the market and industry, right? That's a very critical step in this process, right? So what do we mean by understanding the market and industry here? Like, for example, when we look at it, e-commerce, right, or rather, let's say digital companies. What are these digital companies? When we look at 24 years back, during the dot-com boom, at the beginning of 2000, right, these companies, e-commerce was a big company, and everything was e-commerce during those days, right? There was no health tech, there was no fintech, right? There was no HR tech, right? Everything was called as a e-commerce, right? Digital meant e-commerce those days. Actually, ERPs were not even considered to be, a part of e-commerce, because mostly the processes were uh, manual and with very little bit of automation, right? So it was globally, or it was probably called as a e-commerce. And as we further, like this e-commerce boom, right, converted to or split into or blasted into multiple industries, right? One of the main industry was, ERP, right, followed by health tech, right, fintech, right. Then we are talking about Internet of Things or IoT, right? And now these days we are talking about AI, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning. So it is nothing but a natural evolution, right? But the base has always been e-commerce. So what we need to understand is how this market trends change, right? A term, something called as a e-commerce, right, which had a very different meaning in the beginning of 2000. Now when we are looking at e-commerce, the total, the meaning of that word has changed, right? The applications of e-commerce has changed, right? Now the e-commerce industry is split into multiple industries like health tech, like what we are actually using. Then, a fintech, right, which is also a big market, and we are seeing it booming in Indonesia as well, right? And as we are going, we are getting technological benefits through new emerging technologies like, IoT and AI, which is changing the way the industry is, booming, or the way industry is actually growing. It is changing completely the digital landscape, right? So when we are looking at, that's very important. We need to always, analyze the market trends, right? Keep our eyes on news. What that means is that, we need to see how the industry is changing, right? Conducting market research is very important, right? We need to look at, how, what the market needs. It is very important to know, because that actually establishes, the demand and supply, right? So maybe the slides are going a little bit faster. Maybe we are still on the same slide. Can you just scroll
Ya,
down a bit, maybe?
slides-nya kecepatan, Mbak. Dinaikkan dulu. Yap.
Yeah.
Oke.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Right. So, keeping eyes open on news and social media is very important, because as we are seeing, as the industry is progressing, most of this information, right? And as they say, information is knowledge and knowledge is power, right? So, it is very important to keep tabs on latest information, which is probably getting, cast on, any news or on social media. So we need to keep track of it, and we need to be there all the time to know what is happening, right? And conduct market research, meet, whatever our target industry is or whatever our target market is. It is very important to know what is happening there. Most of the times these kind of information are not floated openly on news platforms or on social media platforms. So these kind of informations we can always, get by conducting market research. What is the market sentiment, what is the consumer behavior, what is the consumer, what is their feeling, right? So all this information we can gather using, this activity of market research, right? And now when we are looking at, this market and industry, like I said, we need to know the market that we are working in, right? And the industry that we are targeting. So we need to know what is the total size of the market. For example, if we are looking at healthcare, which is a growing industry, right? Healthcare is not the same which was delivered maybe 30-40 years back. Now it has changed a lot, right? Lot of automation we are seeing, lot of equipments are coming, lot of diagnostic, equipments are coming, right? The way the doctors are treating has changed, right? Earlier doctors used to assume lot of things, but now there is lot of, evidence based care being given, right? Doctors can provide care only after looking at, the parameters of the patient, the vital parameters, or the doctors can, order the, patients to, take some of the tests, that are provided by the hospital, so that the outputs or results of these, can actually define the way the treatment is given for the patient. So which has actually probably helped a lot of patients to recover faster as well. And medication errors can be avoided, right? So this is where, we need to know, right? We are looking at healthcare here, like, since I am now taking care of a healthcare company, right? Healthcare tech company. So probably I will give examples related to healthcare tech companies the most here, right? So we need to know the market size, right? How big is the market, right? What and all opportunities lie in this market, right? So for example, if we are looking at it, medical transcription is actually a very big market, right? Which can actually, help the doctors, help the hospitals in, establishing a care document, or a longitudinal care document for a particular patient, right? Then we are looking at, sensitizing the, patients, right? So it is very important that, there can be, since this healthcare is now going beyond the boundaries of the, country. For example, like, just 2 days back, I was actually with a delegation from Ministry of Health, which has actually, which visited India, and I got the opportunity with them to be with them, and, go and meet some of the large hospitals in India, right? And the discussion was mostly that, how both these countries, or the healthcare system of both these countries, can collaborate, right, in order to improve the overall health condition in Indonesia, right? So which means that lot of doctors from Indonesia would require to be trained in countries like India or China, right? So similarly, there is also a lot of talks happening that, the expats, or the doctors from India, can also travel to Indonesia, right? So this is still a long way to go, but there are opportunities like this that would come. So which means that the doctor who is in India would not be knowing Bahasa Indonesia, right? So it is very important for them to learn Bahasa Indonesia. Now, who will teach them, right? Who will teach them? Doctors, or any other professional people, learning this on their own is actually not so easy. So how can actually, how can they learn them, right? So this is where an organization like Adobe can actually pitch in, right? How Adobe can actually collaborate with these, doctors, or these organizations which are providing these services, right? And sensitize the expat population with the, with Bahasa Indonesia, and also the culture of Indonesia, right? So what I'm trying to say here is, what is the total market size, right? And what are different types of industries that can be, impacted by an organization like Adobe, or what kind of opportunity does Adobe have, right, when you are trying to make things better for all the expats and other people coming to Indonesia, right? Second thing that we need to look at is the regulatory environment, right? What is the regulatory environment surrounding these industries, right? So like I said, if any doctor has to practice in Indonesia, then they have to go through certain examinations and certifications, right? Now, in order for them to do this, right, they would need to know Bahasa Indonesia, because most of these examination and certifications are in Bahasa. So which means that any doctor, who want to practice here, or any expat who want to work here, it is very quintessential for them to learn this, right? So we need to also look at the regulatory environment surrounding these things, right, surrounding these industries, right? And then look at the technological advancements that are happening, around, with the, coming in of AI, right? For the, for a simple example, if I take the example of Chat GPT, right? Chat GPT is like, you can talk to him like, talk to Chat GPT as your friend, right? You can talk to Chat GPT in Bahasa, you can talk to Chat GPT in English, you can talk to Chat GPT in Spanish, right? So many things are actually improving, right? But it is not, perfect, right? It is not perfect. So there would be some certain opportunities, to improve platforms like these, right? Improve translation platforms like these, or improve, AI platforms like this. So who can do this, right? People who are having multilingual exposure and knowledge, right, are the people who can actually take this up. So, and how to, there is also a thing like how to utilize these, platforms. Just by having a platform, it is not so easy. Like, even though I have a Chat GPT, but I would like to learn Bahasa Indonesia through a Chat GPT, is not happening, because end of the day, when we are actually speaking to humans, or when I'm actually speaking to you in, Bahasa, or when I'm discussing with my friend, my Indonesian friends, that's when probably I learn to speak Bahasa. That's when I will learn how to probably form a sentence, how to probably, communicate what I'm thinking, right? So, that's how it is. So, technological advancement can only be a tool or can only be an enhancer, but it cannot be a source. So it is very important for all of us to understand that. So as we are speaking of technology advancements, we need to use it as a tool only, right? So now demand and supply, right? So what do we mean by this? It's a general term. It's a ERP term. It is, all of us, we know, like, it's the moment, the supply is, less, right? The demand, the demand and the demand is more. There is a value created, right? Now, if we look at it to, kind of make some benefit out of it, then we actually, constrain the supply, right? And let the demand increase, right? So then, the value of that particular resource will naturally increase, right? So, and at the same time, right, if there is a demand, right, by understanding the demand, it will probably provide us with a direction on what way we need to proceed, right, or what, skills that we need to develop in order to, satisfy the demand, right? So till the time the demand is there in the market, right, the supply will never stop. The supply is only going to increase, right? So now, as we are speaking here, so it is very important for an organization or an individual, right, to analyze these steps, right, understand the demand, right, analyze the supply, see what skills are required in order to, satisfy this demand, right? What skills are required for us to stay competitive in this age, right? That is also important, right? So we need to look at all these factors, right, that, are influencing this demand and supply chain, right? So yeah, maybe we can probably go to the next slide. Yes. So as we are speaking, right, as we are speaking about enhancing our skills, right, as we are speaking about enhancing our skills, knowing new things, right, learning new things, right, it is very important for an organization or for an individual, to build an attractive profile. And what do I mean by attractive profile? Is presentability, right? For example, the moment any company, right, like ours, who come to Indonesia to do business, first thing we will look at is a country, right? Second thing, the people, right? The third thing is that, how can we actually do business in a country like this, right? What is required for us to do business in country like this? So naturally, the answer comes is that, first thing is that we need to know the market, we need to know the industry that is how, working in Indonesia. And if we have to do that, that means we have to meet people, we have to network, we have to socialize with people, right? So now, no, like we know, not everybody would be proficient in English. So what? So what do we do? So either we hire translators who can actually accompany us and probably translate, and translate what we want to say, and probably translate what we want to hear as well, right? So now we need to find translators, we need to find tutors, we need to find teachers who can actually teach us about the Bahasa Indonesia, and also teach us about the culture, right? How when we meet people, right, when we socialize with people of different characters, of different domains, right, of different caliber, sometimes we might have to meet some ministers, sometimes we might have to meet some delegates, sometimes we might have to meet local public, so our interaction varies from a normal end user until governments as well, right? So how we conduct with them, how we talk to them, what should be done, what should not be done, right? For all these activities, right, we need to learn it from somebody, right? Who is this somebody, right? It is someone who can actually, who can teach us. Like in my case, for example, I learned a lot from Buwati, right? Who was actually was teaching Bahasa to me. It was a beginner level, right? So taking beginner level Bahasa classes for me, right? I could understand so many things about Indonesia. I could understand so many things about Bahasa Indonesia, the culture of Indonesia, right? All these things, I was sensitized during those sessions, right? Similarly, there will be so many expats, right, who would want this, these kind of help, right? These kind of things. So naturally, when we come to a country like this, first thing is we will start to search, or we want to find people, right? Now, how will you find it, right? You can probably find this only by, improving your presence, right? If you and no how, what do I mean by improving your presence? Like, let's say here, for example, let us take improving your online presence, right? So because these days, now anything I want, right, anything I want, or anything you would want, right, you would always look at, Google, right? Very simple. We will always go to Google, we will search what we want, right, and we will get it. So naturally, if I want to get tutored also, there are only two options that I will look at. One option is I will search by myself, or two, I will ask for references, right? So now if you are looking at anything, yeah, there was
No,
any
it's
questions?
okay. No, if I just give opportunities to them. If any question, they can write in the chat box. So that's okay. Just
Oh yeah.
continue, Bagatam.
Okay. Please feel free. If anybody wants to ask any questions also, you can probably raise your hands also, right? We can
Yeah.
probably, take that up as well. I'll be happy to do that. Yeah. Yes. So we are speaking about improving the online presence, right? How you can do that. We don't need to have these hefty websites or such. We can probably look at, start humbly by, having a profile on a LinkedIn, right? Because why I specifically say LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn is now looked at, the Facebook of, Facebook of business, or Facebook of professional careers, right? People who want looking to enhance their professional careers are probably, are logging into LinkedIn and tracking their profile there, right? So it is very important for individual to look, have a LinkedIn profile in this case, so that when you're searching, your name also comes along with the work that you do, or along with your career, right? When we are looking at an organization, it is very important to have a good descriptive website, right? Because first impression is lasting impression. I would not say last impression, but I would probably use the word lasting impression, because the first impression of anything that we see is going to be with us for a long duration of time, right? So if you actually, the first thing that, Google also always gives us is, some kind of a links to people through platforms like LinkedIn, or websites of organizations that provide these kind of services. So having a good descriptive website will positively impact, right, or leave a lasting, impression on a person's mind, right? So if I see something, I will remember it for a longer time. And if I see something good, I would always recall it. Now that is very important. Recalling is very important, not just remembering. I can remember hundreds of things, but I should recall it at the same time, right? When somebody is asking me, like, Gautam, how do, where do I learn Bahasa? Do you know anybody who can probably help me in learning Bahasa, or my organization requires some kind of a translation services, or we need to hire some people who can actually, take some classes to my employees, right? So what will I answer, right? I'll probably think, okay, let me think, what do I remember anything, I can probably see that, references, right? Like I said, references, I can say that yes, I know somebody who actually does that, right? So probably I will, for example, I will probably refer Bhuati. I'll say that, yeah, she has been very resourceful, and she has helped me a lot in the past by teaching me to learn Bahasa, right? That's how I will probably, that's one thing. And second thing is that if I don't know, right, Bhuati, then what will I do? Then I would probably try remembering, do I know anyone? Do I know any company that does, right? And if I had gone through the website of the organization that provides these kind of services, and if I had a lasting memory of it, I can probably recall saying that, yes, I remember there is a particular organization called, so and so, right, who can actually, provide these kind of services. Let me just find more details for you and give you, right? So I will always have that lasting impression when I have actually seen a good and descriptive website of any organization, right? And third thing is that we should always remember, whether it is an individual profile or whether it's a website or it's an organizational page in any kind of a platform, it is very important that we keep updating these regularly. We need to keep updating these regularly with latest information or any changes that is happening, right? It is very important that we keep updating all these activities, right? And similar to this is branding. There is there's nothing specific that I would like to touch base here, is because I've already probably covered this as part of the online presence. Self branding for individuals is nothing but what we do in LinkedIn, right? And for company and organizational branding also, we can use platforms like LinkedIn or websites like we discussed, right? And creating a strong and recognizable image is what example I probably gave, when I said that, we need to probably establish a lasting impression of any entity, right? Yeah, maybe we can go to the next slide if it is. Yeah. So now developing competitiveness, right? So if we look at the image that is here, right? We look at the image that is here. So that itself is actually self-describing what we mean by this, right? So we need to keep innovating things, right? We need to keep coming up with changes. This is true not just for this is true for any industry for that matter. If we innovate and come up with new things, that's when people are always engaged with you, right? Your clients are engaged with you. If you are coming up with innovative ideas, you are doing some innovations in your product. Similarly, when we are looking at any kind of services that we are giving, right, there also we need to find innovative things. We need to find innovative ways of teaching, or we need to find innovative ways of actually communicating certain value propositions, right? And at the same time keep improving the quality, right? How do we improve the quality? We need to keep educating ourselves, regularly, keep updating ourselves with the certifications. We need to always be latest. This is something that attracts any international company, because there are thousands of people, right? And main thing that happens is, how do we filter, right? How do we filter? So we filter our requirements, based on certain factors, right? If we are looking at, certain factors, here is certifications is a major factor, experience is a major factor, knowledge is a major factor, right? So how do we do this, right? We might conduct interviews, right? We might conduct, discussions. We might conduct, some kind of a group discussions, GD sessions, right? We might conduct some webinars, right? Try to get as many people under that, discuss with them, and try to filter out, right? Try filtering. We keep filtering this, right? And then we are also looking at, filtering also means through certifications, so qualifications, right? So naturally, most qualified person is the one who will probably get the highest mind share, right? Is probably the one whom we will actually, interview first, or we will have discussion first, right? Like that. So we need to always be competitive, find innovative ways to, reinvent ourselves, right? Relearn and re-educate ourselves, and always be ahead of the curve, right? That is very important, right? So when we're looking at organizations, the same innovativeness need to be shown in products as well as services. Products in the sense, product delivery, or, product preparations, prepare some kind of training programs, right? These can be looked as products, right? The way, have a more interactive session based training, that can also be a product, right? Try to come up with something that, attracts people, attracts individuals, attracts these companies towards you, right? And give good service, right? Improve the, improve the quality of the resource. I'm not saying quality of the service delivery, quality of the resources here, I mean, is, find ways, to teach the individuals faster and better, right? So that they also keep retaining the knowledge that they have actually undergone. This can be through this can be actually through multiple sessions. This can actually be through, relearning this. You can also probably have examinations and certifications given to individuals on completing certain milestones. So developing good products, innovative products, as well as service delivery and improved quality service delivery is very important, right? And then appeal to the inherent needs of the target company. So if we are actually targeting a global digital company, what would they look for, right? What would they look for here? They would probably look for some kind of a translation services, right? They would want to look at some kind of a technical writing services, right? They would want to write some product profiles. They would want to make a new website for their companies, right? Which would require a lot of Indonesian content to be put across in those websites, right? They would need certain blogging bloggers. They would need so many blogging materials they would need in Bahasa Indonesia. So the needs of a target company can be different. For example, here I will give you one example that I would like to share here is during our implementation in Hermina hospitals, right? A big part of our implementation was actually related to training the end users. These end users, most of the end users might not be proficient in English, so there was no way that we could have actually given our training in English, which meant that we trained Indonesians in the product, right? With the our product, trained them to work on our product. And then we actually, along with them, we actually prepared a training material which can be shared with the end users, a training program, a complete training program, classroom oriented training program, plus with online help files, online help documentations, everything in Bahasa. So much so that we had a complete knowledge repository replicated in Bahasa Indonesia, which was developed from scratch. How we did this? We did this with the help of of a few of our Indonesian friends here, right? Similarly, this was our challenge which we had overcome that time, right? Similarly, these kind of challenges are there across most international digital companies that would want to do business in Indonesia, right? So it is very important to see what the target company or the target industry needs from a organization. So just target those needs, and then you can find a lot of ways to collaborate and find work opportunities with these digital global digital companies, right? So now yeah, maybe we can probably go to the next stage, like next slide. This is also an important thing, right? This is probably the most important thing that we should concentrate, and we should probably develop the networking and industry relationships, right? Networking strategies and building relationships are two things that we need to concentrate. Networking strategies, what do we mean by this, right? Networking is the same across all, the meaning of this word is same across all industries, right? We need to keep meeting people, we need to keep talking to people, we need to keep engaging with people in order to improve our visibility anywhere, right? So how can we do that? So networking strategies, it is fairly standard, right? We need to attend lots of conferences, exhibitions, industry events, right? Keep meeting with delegates, keep meeting with regulators, find time to meet these people, see where the opportunity lies, right? Conduct events, right? Like this webinar is also very important, which is actually allowing us to interact with each other, right? And probably make friends at the end of this webinar, right? This is also very important, how we can actually find ways to work together. Me working with you or you working with me is what we can also target at, right? Similarly, conducting these kind of webinars, conducting a collaborative events, right? Have a event conducted along with these companies that try to maintain good relationship with the with companies and individuals. Try to come up with collaborative programs with which you can approach to so many different people, right? So this is a digital age, and we want to actually engage with as many people as possible, and we don't need to physically meet as well. We can also digitally engage with people, right? So podcasts and webinars are very important, are very key, are key things to do this, right? So these kind of activities can be done. You can do it by yourself, by inviting speakers, by inviting attendees, or you can collaborate it with companies and then have a big event, right? In which you can invite so many, delegates, either from governments or either from, large enterprises, take their inputs, learn from them. And these kind of, mutually learning experiences will enhance, the networking or the relationship between people, right? Yeah, so that's how it is. Networking is key thing to any of these strategies that we are speaking about, right? It is very important to do that. And naturally, if you see the whole thing, of having a language based services, right, or is key, right? It is networking, right? And now, when we are thinking about building relationships, communication between the people, the way we communicate, respecting each other's cultures, respecting each other's boundaries, personal boundaries or professional boundaries, having mutual respect for each other is very important, right? Otherwise, these relationships will not last long. That means that you could never be able to, if you have a good relationship with any person or with an organization, it is only going to positively impact both the entities involved in it, right? And similarly, if the communication and if there is no mutual respect, the chances of those relationships lasting long is negligible, right? And provide value proposition. What this means is that how valuable you can be, for the other individual, or how valuable that other individual can be to you, needs to also be, communicated once in a while, need to also be exchanged, most of the times. That's how, the engagement is always going to build, and the relationships are going to be stronger, right? And maintain a good reputation in society as well as the industry, not getting involved into any kind of fraudulent practices, or maintaining a dignified self, right? Maintaining a good relationship, a positive attitude, right? Being good with everybody is only going to build your reputation in the society, in the market, in the industry. And by doing this, the relationships will always last long, right? The relationships lasting long means you will have more networking opportunities. You will have more networking opportunity means your complete professional network is going to be larger, and this means that there are so many opportunities that you are creating for yourself, right? So that's how actually, you can enhance your collaborations, and you can also, improve your work relationships, right? Or working opportunities with any kind of company, whether it is a digital company or whether it is any other international company, right? Yeah. So maybe we can probably go to the next slide. Yeah, this is one of the things that, when we are looking at global international or global digital companies or global companies, right? It is very important for us to understand international regulation. So what do we mean by international regulation? It not necessarily means some kind of a customs information and all. No, we should know the first thing that we should all know is which country that company that you are planning to engage with, is from. Why? Because you need to know, just like the expat traveling to Indonesia, knowing culture and Indonesian language, how important that is. Similarly, for any organization or an individual, planning to have a collaboration or working opportunities with a digital company or international company, right, should also know about that company, about that country that company is from. So we need to, or rather we need to, do a thorough research and analysis and understand the cultures, understand the rules, understand the regulations, how the country is, how the people of that country are, know that, know it well, right? And I would not ask you to hire any local legal expert to do that. Rather, you can do a research on your own and probably, get this, important information. Or you can also do this by making friends with people from that country, right? That's probably the easiest way to do it, right? Make friends from the people from that country, learn from them, discuss with them. Yes, of course there will be so many references that you can get, right? You can also learn so many things, right? And accepting cultural differences, this is also very important, right? Not like we look at our hand, we look at our hand and we can see that, 5 fingers of our hands are also not the same, right? It is different. The size is different. The shape is different at times, it is very different. Similarly, no two people from two different countries will be the same. There will be a big, there will be a lot of, cultural differences. Yeah. Anything you would want to say? Hello.
No, Pak Gautam.
Okay.
Just go
Okay.
on.
Yeah. At this point in time, is there any questions from any participants or anybody?
Yeah, maybe you finish first your presentation, and after that we have question and answer session, Pak Gautam.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
maybe
Sure.
you have
So,
maybe 10 minutes left. Okay.
let's see. I hope so. I'm not sure. Maybe
Okay,
10 to
okay.
15 minutes maximum,
Okay.
I'll believe. Right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes. 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 So understanding, cultural differences is very important. And that's how, by understanding cultural differences, is how we can actually improve mutual respect between each other as well. And like we discussed in the previous point, right? Improving mutual respect, will naturally, will strengthen the relationship. And like we said, strengthened relationship will lead to a lot of networking opportunities as well, right? So if we look at it, when we're looking at all these points, there is always it is linked actually, right? All of these points that we discussed today are actually linked, right? So everything is mutually dependent on each other, on each of these points, right? All these points are mutually dependent, right? So yeah, so understanding cultural differences, then staying up to date with changes, right? It is true whether we are in Indonesia, whether we are in any other country, whether we travel anywhere, right? We need to always, be up to date with the changes that are happening. So these are probably few of the things that, we need to look at, right? So now let us look at coming to collaboration opportunities within health tech, right? Probably we can go to the next slide now. Yeah. So now we were looking, until now we were looking at industry, we were looking at in a very holistic or in a very high level approach we were looking at. Now let us look at, when we look at what are the collaboration opportunities that we can see, or we can probably think about in a health tech environment, right? Or in a healthcare or a health tech environment. So now here, right, cultural competency for training for healthcare professionals. What do we mean by that? Is like, any healthcare professionals traveling to Indonesia, they need to be trained well, to know the culture, to know the language. So these kind of training programs are something that can be conducted for any new expats coming to Indonesia. We can do these kind of training. These kind of trainings can be scheduled. So there can be a dedicated training program that can be tailored to healthcare professionals, because as healthcare professionals, the chances of these professionals actually talking to people or interacting with people in Indonesia is much higher. So their proficiency in Bahasa Indonesia is only going to be a enabler for them, right? So cultural competency training programs can be developed for healthcare professionals, right? And then digital platforms for cultural educations, right? So these kind of companies which are wanting to do business in Indonesia also will have this, like specifically when we are looking at health tech, right? These will provide digital platforms, right, in which we can actually propagate cultural education. Why cultural education is important? From cultural education, you will know, how the people are conducting in here, right? So by knowing that, you can actually know the food habits. By knowing that, you can actually know the demographics of this country. By knowing that, you can actually know what kind of how is the health trends in different parts of Indonesia, right? So all this information can be collaborated together. But even to do that, right, since there is all these informations are mostly in Bahasa Indonesia, so a platform, digital platform designed by any health tech company, which are when I say health tech company here, I am speaking about international health tech companies who want to do business in Indonesia, right? They all their materials would be in a foreign language, right? All their platforms are in a foreign language. All their data, all their materials are in foreign language. So now localizing it to Indonesian language is very important. And after localizing it, taking all the data together and transforming the data into meaningful trends. For that also we need expertise related, language expertise or cultural expertise, right? So this is where the opportunity can also be, enhanced here, right? To probably improve these digital platforms, right? And like I said, documentation is integral part of any digital company, right? So healthcare technology integration documentations, right? The help manuals, the training manuals, right? There is something called as technical writing, or there is a role called as a technical writers in any IT company. Now what they do, they actually write down technical journals, they write down technical blogs, their whole activity is revolving around these things, right? Preparing documentation and enabling and allowing these documents to be used by future developers or by future employees, who can actually go through this. And in this case, when we are looking at international companies coming to Indonesia, we want to actually hire a lot of local population. Why? For two things. One, it will help us to in our market outreach programs, and second thing is, if we actually keep on hiring expats, the cost of providing service to our clients will considerably increase, right? But whereas if I actually employ, or if I actually hire Indonesian people to do this job, right, the my total overall cost will be less, which means that to my customers I can actually give a cost optimized service. So these kind of documents will help these future employees of these digital companies for a quick adoption to the company's technological platforms or to the product, right? So it is very important. Research and development collaboration, right? This is one of the important things. Like we said, the points that we discussed under digital platforms or culture education, where we spoke about how we need to collab, or how we need to gather so much of information and probably make it in and convert it into meaningful trends, right? So it cannot be done without doing a proper research, right? Proper research and development of this platform. We can never achieve it without this. So in this research and development collaboration, we can actually probably work together. We can actually look at collaborating to come out with these kind of meaningful market trends. And this is not true just for a company like us. This is also true for any consulting companies as well, right? Which are coming to Indonesia, right? And then utilizing each other's services, which can actually make a positive impact on communities, which can make a positive impact on to people around us, right? We can probably work together to come out with some kind of a community engagement and outreach programs also, right? We can probably prepare some materials together. We can probably do it as a cultural social responsibility. So this is one more activity, or this is one more opportunity that can actually be explored, right? So these are probably five things that that came to my mind, where we can actually where the health tech industry and organization like Adopsy, or any individual who is looking for some to have some work opportunities, can probably explore, right? So now, yeah, so probably this is most of it, right? And the implementation strategy part is something that probably we have gone. Yeah, we can probably go to the next slide now. So this is nothing but, whatever we spoke of, collaborations, right? So how we can probably implement it, right? How we can actually implement it in reality. So it is fairly simple, it is fairly generic, right? It requires any kind of implementation strategy will need to be assessed, needs planning, needs a execution, and then evaluation. So we need to probably look at the assessment is nothing but the initial research that we do, right? Initial research that we do to understand the mutual synergies, right? Mutual synergies, and what is the need of the market, what kind of healthcare integration that we need to do, what kind of programs that we actually want to prepare, right? So all these things is the assessment part. Then planning part, right? How then we put it up into a proper structure, how we will do step by step activities, to achieve whatever we have assessed. We make a goal by assessment, we probably make a goal, right? And then planning, how do we ensure that we achieve the goal, right? What kind of a mitigation plan we need to have, what kind of or if there is any roadblocks that come across, what do we need to do to overcome that, right? And when we are looking at this, at times we might need to do some changes, we need to change the way a person is thinking. So we need to come across change management strategies. We need to come across, the implementation itself, is a big activity by itself, right? So one critical part of this is probably planning, right? So how do we execute each step of our plan? That is very important. And then it will come to actual execution. What kind of a budget is required to do this? How do we execute this? Which kind of resources that we need, what kind of resources we need, how much documentation we are doing. Converting the plan to actual work, right, is something which we call as a execution, right? How do we actually work together to achieve certain goals, right? How do we engage all the stakeholders together? How do we improve participation among the organizations, right? So all these things are part of the execution. And once anything is executed, it is very important to evaluate whether we have actually reached, or whether we have actually achieved the goal or not. If we have achieved the goal, until what percentage, by doing a certain change, or by doing or developing certain things, have we actually made a positive impact or not, whether it is being used or not, whether it is usable or not, whether we need to do any changes on it or not. So we need to keep evaluating so that actually we can reinvent ourselves, right? And reinventing ourselves means better in, yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Pak Gautam.
Yeah, somebody was saying something. Somebody wants to add something here.
Not yet. Just finish your
Okay.
presentation first. That's okay.
Uh,
Sorry for the interruption.
no, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. I thought somebody was asking some question. Right. So that's what it is, right? Feedback mechanisms, or evaluating ourselves, or evaluating whatever we have developed is important. So this is nothing but 4-step strategy for implementation, right? Assessment, or making, preparing the goal, planning how to achieve this goal, right? Executing what we have planned, and whether what we have executed, whether it is correct or wrong, whether we have achieved the goal or wrong, is something which we will know by evaluation. And it is a cyclic process. So assessment, planning, execution, evaluation, again assessment, right? And then again planning, again execution, again evaluation. So it will go in a cyclic manner, right? Whether it can involve this this cycle involves one development, or it might involve multiple developments, or it can develop, it can help to develop one program, or it can help to develop multiple programs, right? So that's about what I had prepared for today's webinar from my end. Right now, probably we can get on to question and answers. And if anybody would want to add something here, if anybody would want to ask any questions, if anybody have felt that maybe I might have made mistakes somewhere, maybe they want to say that. End of the day, like, assessment is done, planning is done, execution is also now done. Now is the time for evaluation. So let us look at how we evaluate ourselves here now. So thank you. Terima kasih semuanya.
Okay, thank you so much for Pak Gautam for giving us such information, and yeah, a lot of things about your experience, and then also how opportunity to us to collaborate with the company, international company. Dan saatnya, this is what we go to the next session. It's like a question and answer session, Pak Gautam. So I would like to ask the participant to maybe there any participant have question, they can asking directly. So they can raise hand ya Bapak Ibu, silahkan yang mau bertanya bisa langsung angkat tangan, kemudian bertanya secara langsung, atau nanti kita juga akan sampaikan pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang melalui ruang bincang. Tapi kita buka dulu untuk yang directly dulu ya, yang langsung ingin komunikasi ya, langsung untuk berinteraksi begitu dengan Pak Gautam. So I would like to ask participant to direct question first ya Pak Gautam. Oke, Bapak Ibu, ada yang mau ditanyakan? So, kalau kita simak banyak sekali, ya pasti saya paham Bapak Ibu agak sedikit juga meraba-raba begitu ya, sama kok dengan saya gitu ya. Ya, Pak Gautam, my English is not good enough actually, so I just like, okay, this about what, okay, so I got it the meaning, okay. So, ya Bapak Ibu jangan khawatir, silakan boleh bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia. So Pak Gautam, I think you can understand also bahasa Indonesia, and maybe we can change to translate a little bit about it. So Bapak Ibu silakan. Kalau bisa tarik benang merahnya adalah Bapak Gautam tadi sharing begitu ya, pengalaman, the experience, bagaimana dari India kemudian dia go abroad gitu ke luar negeri sampailah di Indonesia dan mengembangkan satu perusahaan di berbagai ranah yang tadi sudah disebutkan sampai dengan besar seperti sekarang. Dan tadi banyak sekali Bapak Ibu spill bagaimana bisa kolaboratif dengan Pak Gautam ini, dengan international industry. Jadi kalau saya buat punya catatan sampai full gitu ya, satu tahun ini bisa ini, bisa ini. Jadi Bapak Ibu silahkan kalau mau nanti bertanya tentang peluang-peluang kerjasama atau apapun itu, whatever gitu ya, bisa ditanyakan. Ada Bapak Ibu mungkin yang mau, silahkan raise hand begitu. Kalau tidak kita coba yang dari ruang chat dulu. Tidak ada? Oke, kalau belum ada, kita coba lihat. Oke, ini dari Pak Gautam. There is a question from Ibu Ida. Ibu Ida, ya, in the chat room. So, Bu Ida asking for you, Pak Gautam, did you ever experience any problem in establish cooperation with other countries? So, if any problem when you having a collaboration or something, and what kind of the problem, and how do you recover? So how do you recover when you face the problem in the what is the process in collaboration? Maybe you can share about it, Pak Gautam. Thank you.
Yes, sure. Yeah, thank you. A very interesting question. See, actually, when we started our company in Indonesia, right? We actually didn't have any problems. Only problem, probably not a problem as such, but yeah, cultural sensitivity, right? Because I was very new to Indonesia, right? I didn't know how it works, the kind of, a lot of things were new to me. So for me to adapt to it was something, I would not call it as a problem, right? But it was probably a challenge for me, which any other expat would actually come across as well, right? Which I also had come across, and how I overcame it as well, right? That was probably the only thing. It was just culturally sensitive, cultural sensitiveness is something, which had the way we talk, like, when we are looking at, for example, like we use lot of hand gestures, right? When we are talking, you would have seen it when even I was talking to you, I was using lot of hand gestures. So yeah, pardon me, right? But I need to explain, right, what exactly used to happen. So when we used to discuss, when we used to have these sessions with our customers, right, we used to use the finger, right? We used to use the finger. We used to say that like this, like that. We used to point. We were actually not pointing at people, but that is the way of expressing certain things, right? But then somebody actually told me, look, showing finger like that is not considered to be culturally, good in Indonesia. You don't actually point fingers at anybody, right? So these kind of things, we had to learn, we had to, sensitize ourselves, right? So these were probably some of the challenges. Other than that, if we look at regulatory things, it was fairly simple. We had a partner in Indonesia who helped us a lot. That is a good thing about Indonesians. In Indonesia, we can actually make good friends. We can actually make good friends. That is something is good. So if you are good with the Indonesian is double good with you, right? So that's what I probably understood. And the way it is, like, at times I didn't have to do much. My partner here in Indonesia probably took care of most of these things. So we didn't come across any regulatory challenges. Only challenges that we came across was cultural sensitiveness, which we overcame through, talking to our friends, meeting so many people, learning the way how Indonesian conducts themselves in a meeting, how they actually conduct themselves when they meet somebody, right? Still, the learning is still going on. We need to keep learning it. I'm still learning to, overcome these kind of, cultural sensitive challenges.
Ya, oke. So itu ya, kayaknya sangat lengkap, so complete ya, the answer. Mbak Ida, sudah bisa ditangkap ya, Mbak Ida ya? Gimana nih Mbak Ida? Sudah bisa ditangkap ya, tanpa harus diulangi gitu ya, karena sangat panjang, but kuncinya adalah di sensitivitas budaya, sehingga itu yang menjadi the big problem ya, Pak Gatam ya, about the culture ya, sensitivity of culture, I think ya.
Challenge.
Ya.
I would like to call it as a challenge rather than calling
Oh,
it a
that's challenge.
problem.
Oh,
It's a
okay. So
challenge
it's
we
not
can
problem,
face.
yeah, but challenge for all of you to come to Indonesia, yeah, to make a
Yeah,
company,
in Indonesia
collaborate.
tidak masalah.
Oh, yeah.
In Indonesia tidak ada di masalah. No problem at all.
Oh, yeah,
Only
because
thing
we
you
have
might
like
face some challenges.
similarities culture, yeah, in India and
Yeah,
Indonesia, and then so there
yes.
is no big problem about that, and then no to challenge, yeah, about the culture in Indonesia, but maybe in other countries, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In other countries, there can be, much worse challenges. And one thing is that Indonesia is a very forgiving country. This is what
Okay.
I've come across.
Okay.
Forgiving
Okay.
country and also friendly country.
Yeah, thank you, Bapak. And then we have the second question here. Raise hand, Bu Eva. Oke, silakan Bu Eva.
Terima kasih Bu Ari, Pak Gautam Kamar.
Ya.
Mohon izin bertanya. Sebelumnya izin perkenalan ya Pak ya. Saya Eva Ardiana dari Universitas PGRI Semarang.
Oke.
Pertanyaan saya yang pertama, bagaimana PT ICT Health Indonesia ini membedakan diri dari kompetitor dalam industri kesehatan di Indonesia? Kemudian yang kedua, bagaimana PT ICT Health ini melihat potensi kerjasama dengan universitas? Mungkin Mbak Ari bisa membantu translation-nya.
Iya, saya mengerti. Your question is
baik.
actually, how is the competitive market for a company like ICT Health Indonesia here, and who are our competitors, right? And how, how can the university collaborate with a company like ICT Health, or collaborate with ICT Health, and how we can actually benefit? Correct?
Ya,
Saya
Wah,
baru
nggak
learn
perlu
bahasa.
translate Bu, aman ya. Bu Pak Gatam miss ya, two terms ya.
Bagus sekali.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
sure Bapak.
Yes. So there are a lot of competition for ICT health here in Indonesia. Hello, can you hear me?
Ya, saya mendengar Pak Gatam.
Yes. We have a lot of competitors here. Some are international companies, some are local companies as well. So the health tech market is now improving because of the regulations from the Ministry of Health, saying that all the hospitals or healthcare facilities in Indonesia must incorporate EMR, right? Electronic medical records, which means that they need to implement healthcare technology in their hospitals. So that is why now there are a lot of companies locally available. There is a company called D Health. There is an international company called IQVIA. There are companies like Intersystems. There is T Cell. So all these companies are actually selling their softwares here, right? Their softwares in healthcare technology. So any company which actually does business in health tech is a competitor of ICT Health, which can in certain times, these are system integrators like TCS or Wipros, large companies. They also are competitors to us, and then at the same time there are single smaller units like D Health and any other local companies. They are also there. Similarly, they are competitors to us. And then there are large health tech enterprises like IQVIA, right? And Intersystems, right? They are also there. The way how we can actually collaborate is, it is largely depending on the skill set. We can actually discuss more of these things offline, Abu, right? We can discuss.
Halo?
Ya, kayaknya ini ya, Pak Gautam terlempar ya.
Iya, Bu
Terputus
Ari.
ya, Mbak Ari.
Iya, Bu Eva. Sebentar, Mbak. Ya, kita tunggu sebentar ya Bapak Ibu. Siapa tahu masih berusaha untuk menyambung kembali. Terima kasih ya, Mbak. Oke, baik. Bapak Ibu, karena ini agak kita masih menunggu Pak Gautam sambil kita berbincang sedikit ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi kalau kita simak dari awal sampai akhir dan mungkin nanti kita make sure ya Bu Eva ya dengan
Iya.
sajian jawaban langsung Pak Gautam. Tetapi sebenarnya Bapak Ibu ini peluang besar buat kita.
Sorry,
Halo Pak Gautam.
sorry. Actually, the call got cut in between. I'm really sorry. So
It's
I
okay.
I think I
Okay.
might have broke myself. So what I was saying is, it is mostly to do with the skills that the university can provide to us, right? Whether it is language related skills or even whether it is related to any other technical skills as well, right? So we can actually look at different ways of engagement, right? We can have the engagement begin as internships, right, or employment as well, right? And since ours is also we also need lot of resources, and like I said, we also need lot of resources from Indonesia, right? So we can add different layers, like whether it is a technical people resources, whether it is functional resources, whether it can be language experts, right? So we will have opportunities for most of these things. So we need to look at it skill wise, what kind of skills the university can provide us. Accordingly, we can look at how we can engage, maybe as an internship or even as a full-time employment as well. So does that answer you, Bu Eva?
Gimana Bu Eva?
Ya, Pak Gautam.
Jawab?
Artinya ada peluang yang sangat besar ya untuk kita berkolaborasi dengan PT
Ya.
ICT Health ya. Kami universitas kampus
Ya.
begitu ya,
Ya.
berkolaborasi, bekerja sama
Ya.
aspek. Betul ya Bu Arya?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
okay.
find
So
a way
Pak
to
Gautam,
collaborate together.
Ya.
Yeah. Let's
yeah,
have
you
a
open your
offline
hand,
discussion
yeah.
on this.
You open your
Oke.
hand for all, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, and then Pak Gautam, we also have another question in the chat room. So from Pak Suhud, maybe you can also read on there. So Pak Suhud or Pak Suhud, do you want to speak up directly maybe? Pak Suhud?
Yeah, I think that is good. We can hear from
Yes, I'm
Pasubud
here.
directly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is interesting for me for the talking about the health for Mr. Gatman Kamat. This is my questions about. Would you like to tell me about the first? My question is real benefit to people feel from the service provided by PT ICT Health of Indonesia. And can you give me the one example of the case where the technology developed by a company was successful in serving or improving the quality of parents' life in Indonesia? Maybe it's like is your program or your PTICT and so on. Thank you, Mr. Ketan. Thank you, Bu Ari.
Ya, ya,
Okay.
Bapak, terima kasih banyak. So, Pak Gatam, Pak Suyut need more proof for you, ya. You can explore more.
Explore more how, explain more. I think if I understood the question right, Pasud actually wants to know how, how the programs conducted by ICT Health, right? Has it, impacted positively for any
Yeah.
people, or is there any proof that I can probably provide, right? So yeah, so one thing is that first thing is that we are a healthcare technology company, like I said in the past, and our main flagship product is called as HIN.ai, HIN.ai, right, which is actually a health information management system, right,
Okay.
which means that we provide software for hospitals for their end-to-end operations, right from the time the patient is coming, or even before the patient is coming to the hospital. That means when a patient wants to see a doctor, right, they would actually book the appointment through the mobile app, right? And then the patient comes to the hospital, the patient will be registered there, the patient will see the doctor, and after the patient sees the doctor, the patient will probably go to laboratory, or they will go to radiology department, get certain diagnosis done, and then they will go to the pharmacy, where they will actually collect their medications, they will also pay the bill, and then they will go to the then they will go back to their homes, right? So our solution actually helps right from the time the patient is actually searching for the doctor, and from the time they go to home also, and our application will actually work
Mbak, mungkin
right.
connection ya.
Yeah,
Oke.
can you hear me? Yeah, purchase
Yeah,
of the
now, okay.
medicines, hiring of the people, right? Maintaining the financial books, right? And since Hermina is actually a listed company, preparation of their financial report, submitting it to even to the IDX, all these things are done online through our application only, including BPJS also, right? So any patient getting treated in in the hospital which is using our product, right? Even their claims are also going to BPJS online, right? So if we look at it, we are not just touch basing upon just the end users, we are also actually touch basing with the patients also, right? And to provide, probably to give you a proof, in our application currently we have more than 6 juta patient records, right, which means that 6 juta patient records are maintained in our application. And there are about 72,000 requests come to our application probably every 5 seconds, right? We have there are about 4,000 plus doctors who are using our application to provide treatment to their to the patients. And I think so far more than 12 million laboratory results are generated from the application. So this is something which I would like to put forth here, right? So probably will this qualify as a proof, Pasud?
Thank you so much.
Okay. Terima kasih ya Pak Suhud ya. And then we
Terima
have
kasih.
another comment from the Pak Rohmadi, I think. Pak Rohmadi, halo Bapak. Ayo Pak, muncul lah Pak. Pak, saya kangen loh suara Bapak loh. Di mana ya Pak Rohmadi ya? Oke, kita pancing dulu nih biar keluar dulu ya. Halo Pak Rohmadi. Assalamualaikum Bapak. Ini kayak penyiar radio.
Assalamualaikum. Halo bosku.
Waalaikumsalam.
Mantap luar biasa. Gimana Mbak Mia? Sehat toh?
Alhamdulillah sehat
Alhamdulillah.
Bapak. Silakan
Mr.
Bapak,
Gautam.
komennya langsung saja.
Gimana? Mr. Gautam sehat toh?
Hai,
Gatam.
hai Pak.
Dos. Sangat luar biasa. Jadi kegiatan teman-teman ini, Pak Gautam, saya kira akan sangat tepat ketika nanti
Oops. Yep. I think the connection is unstable also ya.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, technology, but it's right? Okay, still waiting for Pak Rohmadi actually, but
Okay.
yeah, Gautam, Pak Rohmadi write in the chat room also. So he appreciates to you and also all that we have collaboration in the seminar. And then he said some maybe suggestion, yeah, maybe asking of suggestion, how if we continue it by working like collaboration after this, and also he mentioned some, what is it, yeah, some kind of collaboration, Bapak. So it can be like activities of health literacy maybe, and then
Yes.
also from the research. Okay, Bapak sudah kembali. Halo, Pak.
Oke, intinya seperti sampaikan Mbak Mia tadi, Ibu Ketum. Jadi, just gandos kata-kata, semoga nanti ada satu kegiatan yang terimplementasikan, khususnya ya minimal penelitian dan pengabdian yang berkolaborasi dengan perusahaan Pak Gautam. Nanti kolaborasi bisa diambil dari kerjasama yang bisa disinergikan bersama. Biar Pak Gautam semakin keren, cakep, ganteng seperti temannya Mbak Mia. Ya, oke. Terima kasih, sehat sukses. Selamat untuk keluarga besar Adopsi. Just gandos kata-kata ya. Lanjut.
Thank you.
Ya,
Terima kasih. Terima kasih Pak Rohmadi. Ya, sudah cukup mengobati kerinduan kami untuk berjumpa dengan Pak Rohmadi yang sekian lama mungkin jarang bersua di saat-saat ini. So Pak Gautam, Pak Rohmadi is the the lead of adopsi before Buati. So
Okay.
yeah, he has some suggestion like what I said about the literacy, and then also about the research and civil program. So we can go to your company, and then also the opposite, maybe the university can also invite you and maybe your staff to come to university also. So it can be some good benefit for us, and then also internship program. So like
Yes.
internship program for the students and also for
Yes.
the lecturer. I think that's some
Yes.
point that Pak Rohmadi said to us. So maybe it's like maybe all of the participants also have the same question, Pak Gautam. So is there any
Yes.
possibility for collaboration between us, and then all, of course, in the adopsi will be like connection, about your company and then also institution in the adopsi area. But yeah, I think it can be more activities, can be
Yes.
anything,
Yes, certainly. I also positively look at it, right? And I actually see a lot of synergy that we can build with Adopsy in these things, right? Whether we start, like I said, the best way to, begin engagement is probably through an internship. And also we can look at employment also. The same thing, what I discussed with Bu Efa, right, is also valid for Adopsy as well, right? We can see how we can actually help each other, right, to make things better for all of us.
Terima kasih, Mr. Gautam.
Jadi Bapak Ibu, ini terbuka sekali kesempatan untuk kerjasama, collaboration with international company, dan ini saya yakin poinnya besar sekali Bapak Ibu di institusi untuk semacam IKU, kemudian pengembangan dan juga sangat-sangat potensi untuk meningkatkan akreditasi nantinya. Nanti poin-poinnya bisa ke sana. Jadi Bapak Ibu silahkan nanti yang berkenan untuk bekerja sama dengan Pak Gautam di di perusahaannya beliau, nanti melalui adopsi, ya Bapak Ibu, kita bisa buatkan IA, MOA untuk kerjasama, dan nanti kita bisa wadahi di dalamnya tentang apa saja. Dan juga tadi permintaan Pak Rohmadi bahwa dengan adopsi nanti bisa melakukan kegiatan bersama, itu nanti juga bisa kita agendakan dengan perusahaannya Pak Gautam. So Pak Gautam, thank you so much for the opportunities. Oke, masih ada Bapak Ibu
Thank you all of you for
yang
the
mau
opportunity.
masih mau bertanya? Maybe any question? Sudah cukup Bapak Ibu ya, paling tidak ini buat berpikir-pikir begitu ya, wah kayaknya bisa deh teman-teman nanti mengembangkan ini. Jadi kalau saya tadi lihat kan training-training dan ternyata bahasa Indonesia potensinya luar biasa Bapak Ibu. So Pak Gautam, in here we are lecturer of bahasa Indonesia ya. So it's like
Yeah, yeah,
Buwati also. So we teach
yes,
bahasa Indonesia and also culture inside. So I think that's
yes,
important ya untuk company, international company. Jadi Bapak Ibu,
yes,
bahasa Indonesia mendunia bukan hanya sebatas slogan kata-kata, tetapi hari ini kita buktikan bahwa perusahaan-perusahaan juga membutuhkan campur tangan kita untuk masuk ke dalamnya dengan pengajaran bahasa Indonesia dan lainnya. Dan kita juga ambil benefit dengan kurikulum merdeka Bapak Ibu, so bisa untuk internship dan sebagainya. Saya yakin ini peluang bersama. Jadi monggo silakan nanti yang Bapak Ibu berkenan untuk menjalin kerjasama dengan perusahaannya Pak Gatam, silakan nanti berhubungan adopsi dan kita akan buatkan IAMOA sebagai pelengkapnya. Pastinya nanti akan kita lengkapi dengan kapan-kapan kita bertemu lagi penandatanganan bersama secara online begitu. Ya Bapak Ibu masih ada mungkin? Kalau tidak ada, saya rasa Pak Gautam, we finally come to the end of the seminar ya.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I would like to thanks so much Bapak for such information and yeah for opportunities to us to make collaboration more and more. It will be good opportunities to all participants here. Bapak Ibu, terima kasih
Yeah.
banyak juga sudah hadir, sudah menyimak, dan mari kita berikan satu apresiasi luar biasa kepada Pak Gautam. Let's give a big applause to Pak Gautam ya. Terima kasih banyak
Thank you.
Pak Gautam untuk hari ini dan ya
Applause to adopsi
kita
as
akan
well.
make more. Plus to adopsi also ya. Oke, plus to adopsi
Terima
and
kasih Pak
applause for
Gautam.
you all ya.
Thank
Untuk
you,
semuanya.
thank you for
Bapak
giving
Ibu,
me this opportunity.
ya terima kasih. Of course, ya Bapak. And not only for once ya Pak. Let's see in next future also ya.
Sure.
So give more change for us ya. Oke Bapak Ibu, terima kasih banyak untuk kali ini dan mohon maaf jikalau saya membersamai selama menjadi moderator kali ini banyak salah dan hilaf, tetapi saya yakin Bapak Ibu adalah penyimpul yang sangat luar biasa. Jadi saya tidak perlu menyimpulkan ya Bapak Ibu ya. Intinya adalah kolaborasi kita bisa bangun bahkan dengan perusahaan internasional di luar bahasa Indonesia karena bahasa Indonesia bukan sepicik daun kecil tetapi kita adalah dunia yang sangat luas. Bapak Ibu, mari kita melangkah lebih luas ke dunia sana dengan memegang bahasa Indonesia. Kita duniakan bahasa Indonesia dan kita adalah duta-duta Indonesia melalui bahasa Indonesia. Izinkan saya menutup dengan sebuah pantun Bapak Ibu. Pergi ke India, beli terasi. Kurang kerjaan banget sih. Kurang kerjaan sih sebenarnya ya, beli ke India, beli terasi. Pergi ke India, beli terasi, terasi enak untuk rujak mangga. Mari kita bangun kolaborasi, karena bersama kita bisa jaya. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu semuanya, mohon maaf dan saya kembalikan kepada moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Terima
warahmatullahi
kasih semuanya.
wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Bu Ari Kusmiatun yang telah memandu diskusi yang luar biasa. Ya Rabbil Alamin, Ibu Bapak, para hadirin anggota seluruh keluarga besar adopsi, acara kuliah pakar peluang kerjasama dengan perusahaan global berbasis digital bersama PT ICT Health Indonesia telah berjalan dengan lancar. Kita sangat mengapresiasi ya, dan terima kasih sekali pada Bapak Gautam Kamat yang berkenan berbagi ilmu, inspirasi, dan membuka tangan untuk kita berkolaborasi. Luar biasa. Terima kasih kami sampaikan kepada Ibu Bapak Dewan Pakar, Dewan Pertimbangan, Ketua Adopsi yang selalu jos gandos, Bapak Rohmadi, juga Ibu Ketua Umum yang luar biasa, serta segenap pengurus pusat, pengurus cabang, seluruh anggota adopsi, dan seluruh peserta kuliah pakar adopsi. Mewakili panitia yang bertugas, mohon izin menutup acara ini. Sehat dan sukses selalu untuk Ibu Bapak semua. Adopsi muda,
Mudah.
kreatif,
Luar
luar biasa. Sampai jumpa pada kesempatan berikutnya. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi